Before you start watching, please help the channel thrive. Give it a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Drop a comment if you relate to anything or want to dive into some topics together.
A huge living room and dining room, a kitchen and a game room, for when Henry and Randy were around. It was too much, but Randy persisted that it would be perfect for when the children are all grown up. And Randy's stubbornness wins against mine every time. Randy helped me with my home, painting it and decorating, buying furniture, and he's been there all along for me and the babies. Once I finished my coffee, I washed my mug and woke the twins up. Samantha was now better, and it turned out that she got food poisoning and she had an allergic reaction to almonds, which she had in a Danish pastry. She fully recovered, thank goodness for that, and she's now even louder and more cheerful, if that's even possible. When I entered their bedroom, I noticed that Terence was no longer in his bed, but in his sister's, with his arm wrapped protectively around her. This would happen every single day, and since Samantha had gotten sick, Terence has been very overprotective of her. I knew he would be an amazing brother. I gently shook them both while they lightly snored. They were too adorable. Samantha had my light brown hair, but with natural blonde highlights, and Howard's bright blue eyes and tanned skin from me. Whereas Terence had tanned skin as well, with dark brown hair and my blue-greyish eyes. However, he looked like a mini Howard. When they finally did wake up, they wrapped their tiny arms around me in a hug and smiled brightly. Samantha and Terence had very similar personalities. They were both loud and outgoing, but they both look completely different. Terence, even at such a young age, had sharp, very well-defined features with a small dimple on his right cheek, while Samantha had softer facial features and had inherited her both dimples from me. Mommy, they both squealed. "Good morning, guys. You have to hurry and get dressed. We're going to Uncle Randy's," I said, grinning. "Really?" They both cried together. "Yes, really. Now you need to get ready, okay?" They both nodded eagerly, excited to spend their day with their uncle. They both loved Randy and missed him terribly when he went away for a world tour with a new band they had signed. Randy was good with the twins and spoiling them terribly all the time. They both made their way to the bathroom when suddenly Samantha stopped halfway. She turned around to face me, with tears in her eyes, and ran to me. I quickly picked her up and sat her on my lap and gently rubbed her small back. "What's wrong, Samantha?" I asked. "Is our daddy going to be there? Eva says she's going on her holiday with her mama and her brother and her daddy. And she said she's going to the beach and her daddy's going to buy her ice cream," she explained, with tears glistening in her eyes. I kissed the top of her head. "Do you want a daddy?" I asked. She nodded her head eagerly, and to be honest, I felt like the shittiest mother out there. I'd always known that they wanted to see their father, but I was scared that he'd reject them and push them away. If Howard wanted to be their father, I would eventually let him, because when the twins were older, I didn't want them to hate me for never telling them who their father was. My twins mean the world to me, and without them, I wouldn't be able to live. "Okay, maybe you can meet your daddy later on." "Sometime," I said with a small smile and tears in my eyes. "Really?" She cried once again, her eyes wide in surprise. A massive grin appeared on her face as she waited for my answer. "Yes, really. Now get your big bottom up and brush your teeth. We have to go to Uncle Randy's." "Hurry, we don't want to leave you at home, now do we?" I playfully flicked her cute button nose. She shook her head vigorously before jumping off my lap and running into the bathroom. I chuckled at her and watched her brushing her teeth by the sink with her brother doing the same on her left. When they both finished, I filled the bath up with warm water and squirted some bath foam into it. Both of them quickly undressed themselves before jumping into the bath with their ducks. After an hour of what was supposed to be a quick bath, they both reluctantly got out of the water with fingers like prunes. I decided for all of us to wear matching clothes today, so I got out a light blue denim jeans and a white t-shirt with his white Vans for Terence, and a cute white summer dress and her white bands for Samantha. After I massaged them both with baby cream, I left them both to get dressed. They both loved dressing themselves up, but being the clingy mom that I am, I don't want them to grow up already, so I always did everything for them. I fixed them both some brunch, which consisted of some pancakes, as it is their favourite, and some warm milk. I turned on the TV and put on Mickey Mouse and took a quick bath myself, before dressing up in a short white summer dress with a blue bow around the waist and my white Vans. I fixed my hair and makeup quickly before rushing out my bedroom to check on the twins. They were both concentrating on TV so hard that they didn't even notice when I came into the room. I don't remember Mickey Mouse being so interesting. They were both sitting on the edge of the sofa, eyes trained on the TV. I walked to the TV and was shocked to see that they were both watching a horror movie. Ever since they turned 3 years old, they've learned how to turn on and off the TV, change the channels, and obviously put in DVDs in the video player. They were practically pros at technology, but then again, they were way smarter than normal human and normal pups since they had alpha's blood and beta's blood in them. I grabbed the remote and switched the TV off. I can't believe they were both watching The Haunting of Molly Hartley. They were too smart for their own good. Mama, they both groaned, finally noticing me in the room. I said no horror movie last time, didn't I? You guys are way too young to be watching scary movies like that. But Mama, they both said, that's enough now. We have to go to Uncle Randy's, remember? Let's go. They both chirped happily, and with that, they both ran off into their bedroom to grab their backpacks and toys. I quickly grabbed some juice bottles for them and some sandwiches and biscuits for our mini picnic. I picked up my car keys, sunglasses, and my house keys after smothering them with sunscreen while they groaned. Well, not literally smother them. After I picked up both the twins, I carried them to my new white BMW M6. After buckling them in the car, I set off on the drive to Randy's. After about 25 minutes of driving, I finally reached Randy's house, or shall I say mansion, which was practically on the beach. His guard let me in after I waved to him. After parking my car, I slipped out the car with the twins, who were literally bouncing up and down with joy. I knocked the door, and no longer than 30 seconds later, Randy opened the door wearing a pair of white and blue plaid shorts and a plain white V-neck. His longish hair was messy as usual, but a sexy kind of messy. But he looked hot. Hey Caro, hey Samantha, and hey little man. He greeted Samantha and I with a kiss on the cheek and Terence with a bro hug. The kids ran into his home and out in his back garden. They'd been here enough times to know where everything was anyways. Both Randy and I chuckled at their small figures, which was quickly disappearing out of sight. You look pretty, Caro, he smirked, looking at me from top to bottom. You don't look so bad yourself. Randy. I winked and walked away with the kids' bags and my small handbag. Oh, ha ha ha, you're so funny, he said, rolling his eyes. But I could see the faint smile which played his lips. Why, thank you, I grinned innocently at him. He snorted, but said nothing as he followed me into the massive back garden, which also had a swimming pool with a mini waterfall. As I stepped into the back garden, I noticed he had set out swings, 2 mini cars, a seesaw, a trampoline, and a bouncy castle. Wow, I am impressed, Randy, I grinned. Well, I am a man of many talents, he smirked back. Whatever makes you sleep at night, I muttered. Well, he started with a mischievous gleam in his chocolate eyes. Oh, shut up, I said, smacking his lightly on his chest. He chuckled and shook his head. No, but seriously, you shouldn't have done that, I said. But thanks anyways. Hey, no problem. Besides, they are my favourite children in the world, he said, looking at giggling Samantha and Terence jumping on the bouncy castle with a small smile on his face. Randy, these are the only children you associate with in the world, I said with a chuckle. It was true, he didn't like kids very much, but he adored the twins. He always said that he hated babies, because according to him, all they did all day long was, and I quote, crying, shitting, and then eating food that looked like shit. But I don't think he'd truly understand what it was like to be a father until he actually was in that position himself. Randy hadn't found him mate yet, even though he was about 23 years old already. It was quite uncommon, especially for an alpha. But I think this was why he was always travelling the world with other artists, because he was eager to meet his mate. Yeah, well, you know how whiny kids get, he grimaced. I shook my head at him. Only you. Randy, only you. We continued talking for a bit, and eating the food that I made, and the food that Randy's housekeeper made. She was a lovely woman, a werewolf like us. But she was about 40 years old with wise advice. We were talking about work until he asked me a question that completely caught me off guard. "So, are you going back to Arizona?" "I don't know," I answered honestly. "I don't want to see the rest of the pack." Randy sighed and pulled me to his side. Currently, we were sitting on the grass, watching over the twins as they jumped on the trampoline, doing a somersault every now and then. They were both laughing so much and having so much fun. "Caroline, listen, do you know what the last words were to my mum?" They were, "I hate you," and she died that same night. I never got to tell her how much I loved her, and that was the biggest regret of my life. Not being there when she was breathing the last minutes of her life, he said with unshed tears in his eyes. I had never seen him so serious, and it scared the hell out of me, to be honest. He was always the goofy Randy, messing around and saying stupid and perverted jokes, and always making me smile, even when I was at the lowest point of my life. "Trust me, Caroline, if you don't go see her now, you'll have to carry the guilt and regret around your whole life," he whispered so quietly that I just about heard him. A tear slipped his eyes, and he furiously wiped it away. I hugged him tightly while he breathed in my scent. I held on to him for a while, until Samantha came up running to me to see what was wrong. I pulled away from him and said with confidence, "I guess I'm going back then." Chapter 17. A lot of emotions were running through me as I drove back to my old pack. I was very tired already, and the twins fighting screaming in the car wasn't helping my headache. "Shh, guys, Mommy's tired. Please be quiet," I asked calmly. I wasn't one of those mothers who continuously nagged their children or even smacked them to punish them. I wasn't anti-punishments, so the twins weren't spoilt, but I punished them by doing other things than scaring them or threatening them. When the twins were older, I didn't want them to be scared to tell me things. I would hate to be that kind of mother. "Sorry, Mama," they said simultaneously. They were quiet after that, and occasionally spoke when Terence asked Samantha if she was okay, and Samantha would reply yes. He was so caring of his baby sister, and this made my heart swell in pride. At least I did one thing right. I turned on the radio quietly, and it was the right time as well, because they'd just announced that my song was #1 on the charts. I squealed like a little girl, and both the twins started bouncing up and down in their car seats after hearing the song. "Mama, here. Mama, it's Mama's song," cried Samantha. "I'm so proud of you, Mama," Terence said. "Oh, thank you, baby. And I'm so proud of you too." I smiled at both my children. After listening to my song on the radio, they both fell asleep, with both of them snuggling close and Samantha's head on Terence's shoulder. They looked too cute. An hour later, we finally reached the small house when I say I mean my manager, bought prior to coming here. Since I figured I wouldn't be wanting to spend a lot of time there, and the twins and I would need our own private space, I bought a new house here. It wasn't too far from the pack house, yet it wasn't on the pack lands. It wasn't anyone's land, so it was free for any wolf to stay on as long as they didn't cause trouble with the local packs. Once I parked the car in the driveway, I woke both the kids up. When they both reluctantly finally woke up, they both took in the small, one-story Tudor-styled house with wide eyes. "Mama, is this our new house?" Samantha asked me, eyeing the house curiously. "For a few weeks, baby, then we're going back," I answered, placing a kiss on her rosy cheeks. I unbuckled them from the car seats and watched as they ran over to the front door and trying to open it. I chuckled and locked the car before going over to them and opening the door. My manager had already bought new furniture and furnished it already, so everything we'd need was in there already. Our bags and suitcases had also been shipped off here already, but would arrive soon. I checked out the house and it felt so warm and cozy. There were 3 bedrooms in the house, which was perfectly big and a very large living room. The kitchen was very modern and the living room already had a huge over 100 TV plastered on the walls. The house was located in the woods near a lake, so the big glass wall in the living room had the perfect view. I loved this house already. It was quite dark already when a large van arrived carrying the suitcases, boxes and bags. The delivery man kindly placed them all inside the house, but of course for a price, which was an autograph for his daughter. But I didn't mind anyways, especially if it was going to make someone happy. The twins helped me unpack their clothes and toys and neatly set it out in their drawers and their walk-in closet. It took about an hour since both of them wanted to bring all their toys and books. They had too much things. Since it was nearly dinner time, I quickly cooked up an easy meal. During dinner, Terence and Samantha were always trying to feed each other, but they both ended up in a pile on spaghetti with a not very happy mama. After washing all the dishes and cleaning up the table, I bathed both the kids and once again ended up with a bubbly face. After they both got dressed in their pajamas, I sang a lullaby to them, causing them to fall asleep, looking like angels. After making sure they were both asleep, I took a quick shower and put on a pair of cotton shorts and a tank top, ready for bed. I was going back to see everyone tomorrow. Great. Are you ready, guys? I asked Terence and Samantha. Yes, Mama, they both shouted, running towards me. I chuckled and grabbed both their hands to the car outside. After buckling them into their car seats, I started driving towards my mum's house. From the last letter I had received, I found out that Mom wanted to spend her last days at home and not in a smelly hospital. Can I tell a story to you, Mama? Samantha asked. That's not how you say it, honey. It's, can I tell you a story, okay? I said, correcting her sentence. Can I tell you a story, Mama? She asked properly now. Go ahead, Hon, I said. So then, she started telling me a story about a girl called Kayla who went to the supermarket to buy fruits, which dropped on the floor, so she had to go get some more. It was real cute, watching her concentrating on remembering what part she got to. But thank goodness this time her story wasn't filled with cuss words, unlike 6 months ago. 6 months ago. I'm a party, I'm gonna dance. Put your hands up on my body, on my body, on my body. Put your hands up on my body. I'm a party, I'm gonna dance. Put your hands up on my body, on my body, on my body. Put your hands up on my body. I'm a party, I'm gonna dance. Put your hands up on my body, on my body, on my body. Put your hands up on my body, on my body. Put your hands up on my body. I'm a body, on my 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 body. When the sun's out, see the guildem. 2. I got there just in time to pick up my phone and answer it. Hey girl, Grace shouted over the phone. Hey, I said, putting her on loudspeaker. I was trying to do my hair while speaking over the phone. I heard small footsteps walking into the room and jump onto my bed. It was probably Samantha, since Terence was sleeping as he wasn't feeling too well. He had a light cough and cold, and his temperature was a little too high. So far, I had managed to keep Samantha away from him so she wouldn't be sick as well, but trust me, it was very hard. Terence was feeling slightly better, but tired, so I let him sleep for a little before he had to get up for his medicines again. So what have you been up to? I asked. Well, I've just been fucking this insanely hot guy. Oh my word. He was totally drool-worthy, and he knows how to rock the bed as well. He had me moaning and groaning and screaming all night long, she replied bluntly. Laughing, I managed to get out. Have you no shame saying all of this so openly? No, it's not like you're a virgin or anything, she hollered. I laughed and laughed in reply. So how's work? She'd just gotten a new job in a high school as their new art teacher after she finished college. To be honest, I don't know why she went back to high school to teach annoying hormonal kids. It is annoying. Sometimes, I just want to backhand those little shits. Do you know how many fucking paint fights they've had? I really do hate it sometimes. She huffed. Don't worry, it'll get better when you win their trust, I said. Yeah, you're right. Anyways, I have to go now. My little bed buddy's coming back from the kitchen. He just made me some yummy breakfast. He's such a sweetie, she said. I could tell she was smiling right now. Have fun, but not too much, I said. And use protection. Oh, ha ha. And we will. Ciao, she said before hanging up the phone. I turned around from my little stool, which faced my vanity table, to look at Samantha, who was jumping up and down my bed, and consequently messing it up as well. Here, baby, let me do your hair, I said, knowing that she was a little upset that she couldn't hang out with Terence. And besides, she loved it when I played with her hair. It helped relax her and soothed her. She nodded, but didn't say anything. She sat down on the bed, and I walked over and started brushing through. Mama, I tell you a story. Yeah, she said. Go on, sweets, I said. Once upon a time, a man was rocking the bed, and he was shitting and fucking and rocking the princess, and then… Whoa, 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 whoa. Ah, stop. Where did you learn those words from? I asked, surprised and shocked at her words. Auntie Grace was shouting it on the phone, she said, looking innocent. Grace, I groaned. Well, honey, they're bad word. Don't say it ever again, okay? Do you promise? I asked, holding out my pinky finger. Sorry, Mummy, she said, wrapping her small pinky around mine. I promise. Since that day, we'd all learnt not to swear or say anything we didn't want the entire world to know in front of Samantha. Terence wasn't that bad though, and the worst thing he'd said was shit, and that was only once. And that was a huge relief. While driving down familiar roads, I noticed many people who used to tease me back in high school, and to be honest, some of them looked pretty bad. I also saw a girl called Lydia, who was one of sluts in Eva's little group, walking down the street, wearing sweatpants and a sweater with 5 children. The poor girl looked like she was in a pretty bad state. Karma really is a bitch. Although she'd done pretty horrible things to me, I wasn't gloating on what happened to her, purely because I don't believe in an eye for an eye. And we're not all saints, so who are we to laugh at others' misery and fault them? Finally, I reached the mansion where I was brought up. It looked exactly the same, still painted white, with a huge front lawn. After I parked the car, I unbuckled the twins from their car seats before grabbing my bag. I unlocked the car and held both their tiny hands as we walked up to the door. I pressed the bell twice and waited patiently. Terence tugged my hand and looked up, and me, Mama, whose house is this? This is your grandma's house, honey, I explained. They both nodded, and I waited for the door to open. After waiting for about 2 minutes, the door flew open and there was my mum, sitting in a wheelchair. She looked different. She was skinnier and looked a lot weaker. She looked at me up and down, with shock in her eyes. She opened his mouth, trying to say something, then shut it again. She did this a couple of times, not knowing what to say. I'm sorry, she blurted out. I'm really, really sorry. I know that I probably don't deserve your forgiveness, and I don't even deserve to ask you for forgiveness. But if you can, please, please let me make it up to you. I know anything that I'll do won't be enough, but